Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And if you've been a follower of the channel, you know each and every Thursday I do a series called Is He a Hall of Famer? I take a look at a professional athlete, see whether or not they belong in their sports Hall of Fame. A guy who many may see on the fence as to whether they belong. I look at their career, give my final verdict at the end as to whether I believe they should be in. But more importantly, I want to hear from you guys in the comments whether you believe this person should be in the Hall of Fame. Now, last week I did a running back, so I wasn't anticipating doing another one. Last week I did Fred Taylor. But on The Athletic today, Paul Denner Jr. posted an article entitled Corey Dillon, Bengals Ring of Honor Hall of Fame omissions are near criminal. Definitely a great read. I'm not going to post it because the Athletics will be on a paywall, but maybe at the end I'll mention some things that came from the article. So the 22nd episode of Is He a Hall of Famer is running back Corey Dillon. Played collegiately at Washington and was selected in the second round, 43rd overall in the 1997 NFL Draft by the Cincinnati Bengals. Dillon played 7 seasons for the Bengals from 97 to 2003 before spending his final 3 seasons with the New England Patriots from 2004 to 2006. So he played 10 seasons in the NFL. Let's take a look at his career numbers via his Pro Football Reference page. So in his 10 seasons, 150 games, so proved to be durable, 15 games a season. Dillon rushed for 11,241 yards on 4.3 yards per carry, 82 rushing touchdowns in his career. Let's take a look at his season-by-season numbers. So you can also see he added 244 catches for 1,913 yards and 7 receiving touchdowns in his career. So Dillon's career started with a bang, as in each of his first 6 seasons he went over 1,000 yards rushing, actually at least 1,129 yards rushing in each of those seasons. His career high actually came in the 2004 season with the Patriots, as he rushed for 1,635 yards per game in that season. In his rookie season, rushed for 1,129 yards and 10 touchdowns. Finished as the runner-up for Offensive Rookie of the Year, only behind Warwick Dunn. And Dillon actually put up better numbers than Dunn that season, so definitely a debate as to whether or not Dunn or Dillon should have won it. But as you could see, he had 5 seasons in which he rushed for double-digit touchdowns, including all 3 of his seasons with the Patriots. Career high of 13 rushing touchdowns coming in his final seasons. No, he wasn't as productive in the rushing yards category, but definitely still had a penchant for the end zone towards the end of his career. Was definitely a bell cow. 4 seasons in which he had at least 300 rushing attempts, including 3 in a row from 2000 to 2002. While he never made an All-Pro team, he was named to 4 Pro Bowls, 3 straight seasons with the Bengals from 99 to 2001, and his first season with the Patriots in 2004. 2004 is 5th in Comeback Player of the Year, as the previous season he almost looked like he was done. Last season with the Bengals, rushed for 541 yards and 2 touchdowns in 13 games. So Dillon did win a Super Bowl his first season with the Patriots. Now, he was not a part of good Bengals teams. The Bengals were not a good franchise during his tenure there. But his first season with the Patriots, which was his most productive season, at least by rushing yards, he won the Super Bowl. And you see he was very productive in the postseason as well, as the 3 playoff games that year, 292 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. His final season, he also had 2 rushing touchdowns in the postseason. So 4 rushing touchdowns in 8 career playoff games for Dillon. So Pro Football Reference also has something called the Hall of Fame Monitor. So the Hall of Fame Monitor is a metric designed to estimate a player's chances of making the Pro Football Hall of Fame using approximate value, which is just a metric they use to basically say how productive a player was for that season. Pro Bowls, All Pros, championships, and various stat milestones. So Corey Dillon doesn't rate too highly on this. I was kind of surprised. As last week I mentioned, Fred Taylor was pretty low. Corey Dillon is actually a bit lower. Again, that surprised me because Taylor was just a one-time Pro Bowler, Dillon 4 times, and Dillon also has a championship to his name. But as you can see, there's only one running back that is in the Hall of Fame that is below Dillon's score. That is Floyd Little. You could see guys who aren't in the Hall of Fame eligible that are above Corey Dillon include Jamal Lewis, Warwick Dunn, Priest Holmes, Tiki Barber, Larry Brown, Sean Alexander, Darren Sproles, Ricky Waters, Cookie Gilchrist, and Roger Craig. So, this score doesn't really put Corey Dillon in a great light as to whether or not he belongs in Canton. I must say, I find it to be a bit low. Some of the guys ahead of him, like I couldn't put Warwick Dunn in the Hall of Fame before either Fred Taylor or Corey Dillon. As great as Priest Holmes was, it wasn't a lengthy enough time. Darren Sproles, I guess because of his, receiving and return prowess at times, I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame over any of those guys either. Corey Dillon actually broke 2 records during his career, which have since been broken. But as you can see, this is, well, let me start off by saying he's 20th all-time in career rushing yards with 11,241. The only eligible guys for the Hall of Fame above him that are not in are Steven Jackson and Fred Taylor. Again, I did his Is He a Hall of Famer last week. So the third most rushing yards for guys eligible for the Hall of Fame but not yet in. So now the 2 records Corey Dillon once held. So single season rushing yards for a game. Well, single game rushing yards. Corey Dillon on October 22nd, 2000, had 278 rushing yards, which at the time was a record which was held for 23 seasons by Walter Payton, who had a 275-yard rushing game in 1977. Dillon has since been passed by Jerome Harrison's 286, Jamal Lewis's 295, and Adrian Peterson's 296. Dillon also once held the record for most rushing yards by a rookie in a single game. As you could see, on December 4th, 1997, he rushed for 246 yards, breaking a 4-decade record from Jim Brown, who in 1957 rushed for 237 yards as a rookie. Corey Dillon's mark has since been passed by 5 different players. Mike Anderson, 251 yards in 2000. Doug Martin, 251 yards in 2012. DeMarco Murray, 253 yards in 2011. Jonathan Taylor, 253 yards in 2021. And Adrian Peterson, 296 yards in 2007. So now, as I mentioned, the article written by The Athletic. So Corey Dillon was quite adamant about, him just not receiving the respect he deserves, how he's not in the Bengals Ring of Honor, how he should be in the Hall of Fame. So toward the end of a 27-minute eruption of facts and frustration from the 4-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ, and Bengals all-time leading rusher. So again, he really went off, expletives galore. But as the article mentions, let's get into it. It says how only 16 of his 84 starts feature a quarterback with even an average passer rating while with the Bengals. He did not have good quarterbacks. John Kitna, Jeff Blake, Achilles Smith, Neil O'Donnell, Boomer Esiason, Scott Mitchell, Paul Justin, Gus Frerotte. So not necessarily a who's who of great quarterbacks. So, of course, defenses had to focus on Dillon without much of a threat in the passing game, and he still produced. Mentions that in his Super Bowl season, he racked up 1,635 rushing yards and 109 rushing yards per game in 2004 with the Patriots. The only other running backs in history to post those numbers in championship seasons were Terrell Davis in 1997 and 1998 and Emmitt Smith in 1995. Amazingly, Dillon has yet to be even named a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is just one of 10 running backs to average at least 4.3 yards per carry in their career, rush for over 10,000 yards, and average at least 70 rushing yards per game. So definitely glorified heir there. 8 are in the Hall of Fame. The only 2 not in are him and Fred Taylor once again. He's also 18th all-time with his 82 career rushing yards. Rushing touchdowns. And the last thing I want to mention is how it briefly mentions off-the-field stuff. He had some arrests during his playing career. I'm not going to fully get into that. You can Google it. But Corey Dillon, in my eyes, definitely should be in the Bengals Ring of Honor. By far and away the best running back in franchise history, and I don't anticipate Joe Mixon surpassing him. But Hall of Fame. Is he a Pro Football Hall of Famer? Regrettably, I'm going to have to say no. Now, I think he should have been a semifinalist by now, at least. That's for sure. That's when they limit it to, I believe, 25 guys. You have to wonder if that off-the-field stuff is part of the reason why. He mentions that, there's guys who have done maybe arguably worse that are in the Hall of Fame. Of course, you could think of one running back who played for the Bills, but that came long after he was in the Hall of Fame. But for a guy who I'm having a tough time deciding whether I think he belongs or doesn't belong, I think that's got to play somewhat of a role, and partially due to that is the reason I'm going to say no. But I also said no to Fred Taylor. If I had to pick one to be in, I would probably slightly lean towards Corey Dillon because he has that Super Bowl ring and because he played such a large role on that Super Bowl team with New England. Again, just 10 seasons, but, 11,000 plus yards career rushing. So I definitely would understand if you think he should be in. But let me know in the comments, do you believe Corey Dillon should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Stay tuned for next Thursday when I look at another athlete and, whether they belong in their sports Hall of Fame. You could always comment players you would like to see me do as well. I have all of these in a playlist. You could check out who I've done, check out the videos, and let me know on those guys as well whether you think they belong in their sports Hall of Fame. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.